Most.
TikToks are even.
My TikToks are saying too.
Welcome to the Spoken Hope podcast, and I feel like camera angles are weird today.
We're all on
but
the wonky side.
yeah, I don't know what happened. There I am on yours. We are live on TikTok and Facebook, and we are good to go. We have announcements for today. I'm pretty excited. I got a new logo in that my wife over here made. Spoken Hope podcast has a cross because Jesus is the center and everything that we do. And I'm excited to get some merch made with some hats. The hats will look like this. I think it'll actually look pretty cool.
I could just do the logo without the Spoken Hope.
On a bigger hat, of course, but it would look really cool being that way. And I'm excited to maybe get some stuff like this, kind of like how this wood is right here, and then like put some like something on here. Yeah, that'd be cool. I was talking about this, guys. Yeah, see, all of our lives can see it now. But no, I'm excited for just to see what where our ministry takes us and where Stitches of Hope and Spoken Hope podcasts and Lighthouse Church and everything takes us to honor Jesus. And we got a parking lot that we can use for all of our outreaches. I'm excited for that too this summer. We can do wherever we want to, like whenever we want to do it, just let him know ahead of time, he said, and he wants to help out the community the best way he can. So he said we can do it whenever. Have meetings with Marco's Pizza, with Best Tea coming up.
Have some stuff made for them too.
Yeah. So we have new sponsors happening this year again. We're pretty excited. Or partnerships. Yeah, I would say more partnership than sponsors. But we have partnerships happening again this year. We still have the same ones with Theo's and Peabody's, but now we're going to add more, which is more food that we can feed the community with. So we're excited to get this going and to get the ministry going. I have people that want to go on my podcast next month. So I got to try to plan that along with planning the outreach and working and doing podcasts. And we're going to be busy. It's going to be a busy month in May. It's got to be May.
That was lame.
It's got to be May. Like Justin Timberlake meme says. But guys, we have a mouse problem in the house.
So if you hear it's a mouse trap. Ow, that hurt.
We have caught many mice. Five mice, guys, and sometimes they outsmart us.
We had a game of Tom and Jerry with one of the mice that I just caught today. A little sucker finally went in the trap, and I unjustly, maybe, I don't know, disposed of him earlier. So, like I said, if you hear a nice little clap in the background, that would probably be a trap. Sorry for the ow. As I was crafting, and those of you who understand, crafting can be dangerous. My husband doesn't think so.
I don't know.
So, but it's been an interesting week as we're dealing with that little situation.
And he's testing our patience through all of it too, you think. My patience, mainly. I'm terrified of mice, okay? When I see mice, I run away. When I scream, I can just picture them screaming along with me. It's like a kind of thing. And I run away and they run away. And then I lift my skirt up and I do a little dance. And, because I'm terrified of mice. So,
I don't like them, but I'm not terrified of them. I dealt with them before. I worked in pet stores. So obviously when we get a mouse in the trap, the big man here doesn't do nothing. It's left to me. So I take care of the traps.
Yeah,
and the baiting and the setting.
Big man doesn't do anything over here when it comes to mice.
I wear the man jeans here.
Mice, roaches, wasps, and all these other little insects. Luckily, I did smash a couple ladybugs or Japanese beetles today. But I mean, other than that, but God tests our patience through all of this. See, He knows I'm not a patient person, and what does He do? We get mice in our house.
I don't know. I feel like He's been keeping them out of the main part for now.
For now.
That's an answered prayer. But I am taking the necessary precautions. So for those of you who don't know, mint, mice, and other creepy crawlies absolutely hate it. They will avoid it. So if you have already wild mint growing, onions, garlic, even lavender, they will avoid you. So I'm doing stuff like that to keep them out of the rest of the house.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're in our kitchen, but cupboard that we don't use.
More announcements happening, though. We have officially, again, partnered up with Lighthouse Church. We had a meeting with them. We're now partners with them. We can't wait. We're excited to see where God leads us with Lighthouse Church. If you guys don't know, we were big time into the leadership of the church for a while. I let pride or hurt feelings or whatever it was get in the way of what God wants us to do. And God, once again, smacked me in the back of the head pretty much and said, the time to take action is now. I want you to be part of this church and to do what I say for you to do. So we had a meeting with our pastor, and now we are back with Lighthouse Church as partners. And let me tell you, we have a prayer walk coming up in May 17th. Mm-hmm. We have an outreach coming up May 31st. We are officially in the 4th of July parade. We have so much stuff going on with Lighthouse Church, with Stitches of Hope, with Spoken Hope Podcast. And there's other people that we're working with too right now that we're going to keep it on the down low and for a little bit until we start making moves with them too. But we're excited. And then we're even more excited though because this is Easter month. We are in April, right? We are going through, last week we went through the birth of Jesus Christ and him as a child. And this time we're going to be going through the miracles and the healings and the wonders and everything else that he's done when he was on earth, where crowds would just flock to him. Like they would just run. They knew exactly who he was. And people just ran to him for healing and for miracles and because they knew that he was the child of God. Now, of course, there was people that didn't believe. And there was people that were trying to get Jesus in trouble, right? You had the people with the stone thing, right? Where they would say, you know, well, look at this prostitute, they would tell Jesus. They said, she's not perfect. She's a nasty woman, yada, yada, yada. And they wanted him to throw the stone. And that's when he said, for anyone that's without sin can cast the first stone. Well, they all sinned. Nobody's perfect. So they were just like, you know what? We're just going to leave that stone alone. We're going to walk away because, well, Jesus just called us out when we were trying to set up a trap for him because they thought that he was going to be the one that was going to throw. They thought that he was going to be the one to throw the stone at her. And he ended up telling her that he's not going to do it. He gave her compassion and gave her love and understanding and said, go on and sin no more. But that was just one of the many things that he showed that he, even though being the perfect man that he is, he's not going to go and stone a woman because of her sin. Because he came to earth to free us of our sins. So, that's just like one little thing. One little tiny story in the Bible where we have all these different things today. And I looked it up and I was like, man, which ones do I want to talk about? Because there's so many of them. And we're going to start off right now, John 2, 1 through 11. And we're going to start off here. This is when Jesus turned water into wine. Everybody knows this story. This is a huge miracle. It was.
Excuse me.
So, on the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, they have no more wine. And Jesus replied, woman, why do you involve me? My hour has not yet come. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for the ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons of water. Is that water? Mm-hmm. So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet. So these people had big, giant gallons of water, right? Tons of water. Mm-hmm. They had, 20 to 30 gallons of water. And Jesus said, bring them to the banquet. All the water, bring them. And then he told them, now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet. they did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. So did he just think they randomly appeared?
I don't think they paid attention, because by the time they had poured the water into their cup, it was already wine.
Yeah. So there's
the
like
master would have no idea of knowing that they had just poured him a cup of water
that turned into wine, because Jesus said, "Hey, this is going to be wine." Where was I at? He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, "Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now." What Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. That's powerful. Because just a simple little task. Just nothing too crazy, right? Just a simple, I'm going to turn this water into wine, was enough for them to say, you know what? That's God.
I don't think at first they did, though. If you think about it, they were more than likely already pretty drunk by the signs of it. Because as it said, they bring out the best wine first, people to enjoy.
Yeah.
And then by the time people are really, drunk, they bring out the lesser quality of wine, the cheaper, easier made wine, so people can continue to drink but not have the best stuff anymore.
Yeah.
By the sounds of it, they did that in that order, but the water that was turned into wine
was the best wine
they will ever have.
They've never tasted anything better than that. They were like, wow.
Essentially, they may not have, it's safe to say they may have been too drunk to notice and or care that they had just had water that was literally seconds ago water turned into wine.
But his disciples knew.
The disciples knew. You can't really fool the disciples when they get to know him, but as it says, though, this is one of many of the few things that Jesus did in the beginning to show who he is. So the water into wine plays a huge role, but we forget too that the wine, especially in today, shows a huge significance for his blood that he gave up, which we'll get into that later on.
Yeah, later on in that. Do you think in today's time, because I like putting it in today's perspective, what would people call him today?
Today, I'm not sure.
They would call him a magician. They would call him
like. Back then, they had people that were considered wizards and mages.
Yeah, but I mean.
So you would think that they may have considered them something else, but knowing what they know today, we would probably consider it. Oh, you're just an illusionist.
Yeah.
You're playing a trick on my eyes.
Yeah.
There's food coloring in there. You switch it out, So it'd be hard for people today to believe. Like I mentioned last time, when we were live last week, so many of us will try to explain things away when you just have to open your eyes and see the miracle in front of you.
And there's a lot of miracles, right?
And sometimes we want to explain the miracles away with what makes sense to our minds. We can't always comprehend those miracles.
No.
So you have to be willing and open to receive the miracle for one. And then after you receive and understand, open your mind to knowing it's not just something you can explain away, but accept that that's a miracle that you're receiving. I don't know if you have an example for that for us that we could help relay that over.
Do you?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. That's why I thought you might be able to.
No. I just know that
Hi, Chrissy.
Something so basic, something so simple. And this was one of the first miracles ever recorded by Jesus Christ.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was one of the very first ones.
Excuse me.
I believe it even said it in here.
Was of the first.
Yeah, was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory.
But that doesn't mean it's one of his first miracles. Although he did start bringing in disciples, did we just study what age that was roughly?
30.
Was it 30? So he only spent 3 years?
Yeah.
On the 33rd year is when he passed.
That's when he got crucified, yes.
Yeah.
And but it's weird though because like we said last week, the Bible goes from one quick story in was it Luke? Or no, yeah, Luke.
It was Luke.
One quick story in Luke when he was a teenager to 30 years of age.
I want to
So
say it was like
it-
late 20s, early 30s. That when he may have started doing it, because that would make sense. But what it's saying here is this is the first of the signs that he offered to slowly reveal to his disciples who
Yeah.
he is, what the purpose of him being there in his glory.
I
And only his disciples really seem to have paid attention and caught on to that.
Yeah, because I think like you were saying, that everybody was intoxicated.
And nobody would really know the difference.
Nobody.
To be honest, if you get drunk enough, even in today, you're not going to know your butt from a hole in the ground, to be honest.
Yeah.
You won't even know what's up, what's down, what's left from right.
Yeah.
You can honestly mistake a donkey for a horse and go for a joyride.
I know.
And back then, a donkey was a joyride. Or a horse even, which I don't think they had horses out in that area. It was mostly camels and
It was donkeys, it was camels.
Yep. So I think in today's perspective, it'd be the equivalent of just having a good hard party.
Yeah.
Like college level party almost.
But this right here is my favorite. Like, cause this is how we are serving God. This is our way of doing things. Is kind of like what Jesus did in this story right here in Luke 5:1-11. It's one day as Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret.
Do your best. I can't pronounce. Gennesaret.
Don't mind me, guys. I will get this. This is helping me with my vocabulary.
Well, it's some of the words and like names and locations are not that easy.
Gennesaret.
Gennesaret. Let's go with that.
Gennesaret. Yeah. So I'm reread that again. One day as Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret, the people were crowding around him and listening to the word of God. He saw at the water's edge 2 boats left there by the fishermen who were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and he asked him to put out a little from shore. Then he sat down and taught the people from the boat. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into deep water and let down the nets for a catch." Simon answered, "Master, we've worked hard all night and haven't caught anything. But because you say so, I will let down the nets." He trusted in Jesus. At that very moment, Simon's like, "But we have worked so hard, like all night."
You gotta think how tired they must have been to be like, you know what? Yeah, okay. Because most people like, forget this, I'll do it first thing in the morning. I'm tired. I want to go home, go to bed. But they're like, we worked hard all night, but you know what? You said this is going to happen, so we're going to trust you with everything we've got and put down our nets where you said so. Let's see what happened next.
Isn't that kind of like our life today, too?
Well, let's read it out. I know a lot of people probably know this one, but let's read it to the rest of them so they can see what happens next. We can build on that.
Let's see.
Right here,
When they had done so, they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So they signaled their partners in the other boat to come and help them. They came and filled both boats so full that they began to sink. When Simon Peter saw this, he fell at Jesus' knees and said, "Go away from me, Lord. I am a sinful man." So
not only did he have trust in what Jesus said to do, but Jesus doubled, if not tripled, the amount of fish to the point where their boats couldn't even handle the amount of fish.
2 boats couldn't handle it.
Exactly. To where he realized who he was, and he fell down and said, "I'm not worthy."
No, I'm a sinful man.
That alone, like, he's telling him, "I'm not worthy to be in your sight. I am a sinful person. I'm a sinful man." And we're all sinful by nature. We can't help that. We are a sinful people, but we have to make the effort to not sin. And it's easier said than done. It's not something as simple as, I didn't look at that porn yesterday, or I didn't go and say I want to kill somebody yesterday. You think it.
Unalive,
you felt it.
Yes.
I'm sorry, unalive. I know I'm sorry. I'm not used to TikTok lives and discussing such deep things. But, you're not sitting there just thinking it. If you think it, you've already sinned. It's not so much just I didn't act on it. It's a matter of I am a sinful person and I recognize that, which is why it's important that we ask our forgiveness, because it's something that we can't help, because we are an imperfect people. It's thanks to sin being in the world. So you can only imagine how he felt realizing that Jesus at his feet gave him a huge blessing only to say, "I'm not worthy. I am a sinner." That is amazing.
And then we can like finish up the story saying, where is that? When Simon Peter saw this, he fell at Jesus' knees and said, "Go away from me, Lord. I am a sinful man." For he and all his companions were astonished at the catch of fish they had taken. And so were James and John, the sons of Zebedee, Simon's partners. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on you will fish for people." So they pulled their boats up on shore, left everything, and followed him. So Jesus said, "You're going to be done fishing for fish."
Instead of be fishers of men.
Now you're
some
gonna be-
versions will say fishers of men, but
Yeah.
I feel like we should explain it to what that should mean. 'Cause
Yeah.
that means literally not just like stop fishing and go find people, but reach out to people.
Disciples.
We go fishing to catch fish for food, to feed ourselves physically. But what Jesus wants us to do is go fishing for men in the sense we go fish and help fill them spiritually.
Yeah.
So it can be a number of things of people in any generation, any kind of background, mentality. We all need it. So instead of fishing for yourself and helping yourself, God wants us to reach out and spread that seed.
Yeah.
Plant that little mustard seed. I don't know if you still have it up here.
Oh, I had it up here somewhere.
There it is.
Right here.
It's right behind the jelly. So in that little bottle there, I'm not sure you guys can see it very clearly, is a mustard seed. God can take faith as small as this seed here and grow it. But he needs us to go ahead and help plant that seed. He gives us all that opportunity. It's up to us to either nurture it or seek out nurture.
It's up to us to be the fishers.
The fishers of
The
men. Yes,
fishermen.
thank you for tying that back.
The ones that go out and God says, "Hey, go disciple to this person.
Mm-hmm.
Go spread the gospel to that person." Cool testimony, because we have enough time. Cool testimony. We were out working a couple of days ago. I went inside this bar and had to pick up some food for a customer. And all of a sudden, I ran into a lady who was drunk. She was intoxicated. But I started talking to her about Jesus. Because it was something that God had me do. It was right there. I was a fisher of men.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I planted the seed. I told her about Jesus and how much I love Jesus and how, like, I do everything I can. We do everything I can as a family to serve Jesus in every way possible.
And don't let the challenges stop you either.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be kind of scary, though, going up to random people and talking about Jesus, because you don't know how they're going to react.
You can make it into a very natural conversation if you try. It is not easy, you're right. But it can become a natural conversation.
Especially when you're in a sinful place like a bar. Like...
Well, not all bars necessarily are. It's meant to be a place where people can relax and just let loose. Now, it's become a sinful place because it's a place of... what's the word I'm looking for? Of gluttony.
Yeah.
We become gluttonous to our own selves of literally punishment, self-punishment to a degree. Sometimes, you know, in some cases, I'm not going to say every case, you just go there to hang out and maybe get a cold one after work and just be like, I deserve this. But in places like that, yeah, I can see it being difficult because it is generally a place where sin is very easy, especially, I don't know if the audience knows, if you having been sober from alcohol.
8 years, yeah.
For 8 years now, not a drop of it ever. And going in there and just having a conversation with somebody, the temptation, I'm sure, at the beginning was very tough. But in a situation, like when you first started, it was tough. I remember the cranky days when he stopped. But he made it. And now he can use that as testimony to help other people.
Well, and the fact that when I went there a couple of days ago to talk and to really just to get the order, the lady was swearing up a storm, and she was really drunk and slurring her words, and
when you're drunk, you don't notice.
And she might not even remember the conversation that we had.
She might not, but something will change.
But she'll have it still in the back of her head, and she'll have that saying like, you know what? I remember this weird man with a beard and a bald head walked up to me and was talking to me about Jesus when I was drunker than a barrel full of monkeys, and she'll remember it. It's something that's a seed planted, and that's what it means by being a fisher of men.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, going out there spreading the gospel, discipleship, evangelism,
making those connections, helping people and shining the light where where they feel like they're in darkness. I feel like that's what our calling is.
Speaking of darkness, this is a very scary topic that we're going to be talking about now. This is something that's really traumatic to me in my life, because I've dealt with possessions. I've dealt with real life demons, the devil himself. I've dealt with these things, and by the grace of God and by the Holy Spirit and everything, I'm protected. I have a shield over me and my family. Nothing's going to even get to us at all, period. And so we're going to read Mark 23 through 28.
You be okay reading it?
Oh, I'm okay reading it.
Alright, I just don't want you to get like little heebie-jeebies.
Just then a man in their synagogue who was possessed by an impure spirit cried out, "What do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." "Be quiet," said Jesus sternly. "Come out of him." The impure spirit shook the man violently and came out of him with a shriek. The people were so amazed that they asked each other, "What is this? A new teaching, and with authority. He even gives orders to impure spirits, and they obey him." News about him spread quickly over the whole region of Galilee. They didn't even know who Jesus was. They're like...
The people.
Yeah.
I say I'd clarify that because there's a lot of characters in this
the
story,
people didn't even know. The people of Galilee didn't even know who Jesus was.
Nope.
He walked over here and firmly just said, "Get out of him."
Yeah. I want to reiterate on something too, because a lot of people, and if you saw the podcast this past Sunday, you'll know what I mean. But a lot of people contribute Jesus to looking like this very good-looking man, very well kept. Pretty much almost like a rich man, I would say, for back in that time. But he's an average-looking man. Nothing overly, beautiful or anything like that about him. But they wouldn't recognize him because of that. His looks were not anything that was, "Oh, this is what he looks like. He's so gorgeous." It was more of, he was an average man. He was a hardworking man. He grew up as a carpenter. He was able to build things as he learned from Joseph. So I can see why they wouldn't recognize him right away.
Well, and the fact that he's not going to have a light shining over him, and he's not going to have a light beam shining on. Yeah, not yet. But he, like Justin said, he just was a normal-looking average Joe walking around, and he just went and started saying, "Be quiet, evil spirit, get out of him." And then the impure spirit shook the man violently and came out of him with a shriek. And people were like,
terrifying that must have been to see. I personally have never seen it. I know that husband John here has dealt with so much, but I mean, I've seen people who are evil at heart. I've dealt with it.
Yeah.
But I can't ever say that I've seen anything described like it is here in Mark chapter 1, verses 23 to 28. If you want to read it in whatever version you can comprehend best, that is the verses to go through to read it and study yourself.
Yeah.
But the way it's described, and I believe you have it up in ESV, which is I know what you understand the best, is it's just either way. You have to picture someone who has a voice that's not their own, saying something, and then all of a sudden, this man, and since the people didn't know this was a random man to them at this time, coming to them and saying, "Quiet," or essentially in today's word, "Shut up," and then leave. It's the shortest way I can describe it. And then you see this person suddenly with this weird voice, you see them shake or convulse, essentially, I would say would be the best way, with a shriek that probably sounded like a terrifying ear, like nails on a chalkboard kind of thing, I would think. Just suddenly coming out of it. My guess is, from what you've explained before with your past, is a dark figure, essentially, coming out of this person, leaving all the people who had no idea who this man was at first, questioning who he was, being amazed.
Yeah.
And then they're asking, what's going on? This man can make something happen that none of us know how to work with, how to handle, let alone like comprehend. And these evil spirits obey him without question. I kind of wish I could be there to see their faces so I can be like, y'all are dumb if you can't understand and comprehend. I mean, maybe I'd be part of that party, but you know, kind of like y'all are kind of just like sitting there questioning. Right when that spirit said, "You are," their words in this one says, "the Holy One of God."
Yeah.
Now I know there's some of you out there that are not religious. That's okay. We don't consider ourselves religious. It's a relationship. But when something like that evil level says, "You are the Holy One of God," in this situation, you can only but tremble. Yeah. I would say you'd be trembling, knees be weak, you'd be sitting there, not even able to stand upright.
And they say it with such like pride and joy and happiness. Is they're like, what is this? A new teaching. And then they say, and with authority. He even gives orders to impure spirits and they obey him. And then you go up and further and we backtrack and go to the first miracle. He performed water and turned water into wine. This is the same man that turned water into wine and that gave tons of fish to his disciples and said, "You're coming with me now." Mm-hmm. And then this is the same exact man that said, "Get out of him."
So the pattern I'm seeing is he started off really small with miracle.
Yeah.
And they progressively get more, I wouldn't say bigger, but more impressive.
Not just impressive, but more...
Like the level of them. Because, I mean, the water to wine, that's a pretty cool trick, right? And then maximizing the amount of fish some fishermen can get to teach them that... I'd say that the fish one is more of a parable than a miracle right now. But using that as a lesson to fish for men instead of fishing for yourself physically. Like, you know, providing food is important and all, but we don't live on bread alone. That's also another lesson, another study, another day. But... then you get to this one. It's like John said before, it's a little on the intimidating side. It's a short one, yes, but there's only so much you can put into words when it comes to something so incredible. So each one that we study, I'm seeing a pattern, and it's going from kind of cool and not so significant to more significant to eye-opening.
And it just gets better. As the more stories, the more Bible verses go through, we're going to go down a little bit further. A little bit further,
okay.
A little bit further. We're going to go right there.
Nazareth. This one, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said Nazareth. There's the reference.
Oh, hold on 1 second.
Here, I'm going to do something for you.
We're going to go to...
That should...
What happened?
That. He thinks I broke it.
Oh, no. We're going to go up a little bit. Wait.
Where
are we at? There we go. That one. Because we have another one coming up soon that's amazing too. And so we see a pattern, right? We see Jesus turning water into wine. Then Jesus making fishermen out of, like, fishers of men. Mm-hmm. And then he's casting evil spirits out. But this one is the most miraculous thing.
It's most well-known.
And miraculous and well-known thing that anyone can do. Not anyone, but that anyone can do. This is when Jesus raised the widow's son from the dead. It's crazy. Luke 7:11 through 18. Soon afterward, I got a burp. Hold on. I'm good.
I need you some water.
Want to read that one?
Sure. All right, so it says, soon afterward, Jesus went to a town called Nain. I'm going to go with whatever. Again, guys, I apologize on the enunciations. Neither one of us are very good at that. And sometimes I'm just a butt when it comes to pronouncing things the right way. But he went to a town called Nain, and his disciples and large crowd went along with him. As he approached the town gate, a dead person was being carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow. And a large crowd from the town was with her. When the Lord saw her, his heart went out to her, and he said, "Don't cry." Then he went up and touched the bier. I am having a big problem tonight.
Where are you at?
And he touched the bier.
The bier.
The bier, and they were carrying him on. So the bier is like a stretcher.
Yeah.
And the bearers stood still. He said, "Young man, I say to you, get up." The dead man sat up and began to talk, and Jesus gave him back to his mother. They were all filled with awe and praised God. "A great prophet has appeared among us," they said. "God has come to help his people." The news about Jesus spread throughout Judea and the surrounding country. John's disciples told him all about these things, calling 2 of them.
And now we see
that continue? Because it
No,
just ended.
that's it.
So it just randomly ended there. But
I
okay.
guess so. But now we see that he went from people saying, well, who is this man? To now they're like, a great prophet has appeared among us. So now they're starting to see more and more of like who Jesus really is. Even though he's not just a great prophet, he is the Messiah, he is our Savior. He is the one that sacrificed himself for us, for our sins, and he's the only way to heaven.
Well, they did mention too that God has come to help his people.
Yeah.
If only they could understand the amount of help that he's going to give in a way that's going to dog hair. I meant to say in the way that's going to break the hearts of people, in a way that it will not just break you, but make you more grateful, I would say. Because if you can go and be ungrateful for that, while also being like hard-hearted, I should say, I don't know how that can help you, because the situation at that in the end. But again, that's later on. These people have also admitted that I'm losing my train of thought. I'm all over the place, guys. I apologize. But they've also just seen him raise a widow's son back from the dead.
Yeah.
And back then, a widow was a hard thing to be, especially if you had a son that you didn't have any grandkids by or anything like that. So that was how you carried on your lineage, is through your son.
Yeah.
So when her son, after her husband has been gone, has come back from the dead, you can only imagine how grateful and how joyous that would be, especially when he just suddenly came up to her in the crowd and said, Don't cry.
like
I mean, I can hear him in my heart, right now when I was crying over lost family members saying, "Don't cry, my daughter. Everything will be okay." Because for those of you who know us, I know who's on the lives right now. My husband and I have been through some loss. I've been through a lot of loss from a young age, and some of those losses hit harder than others. But knowing that Jesus will be right there, God uses the same thing, but knowing that he's right there and he can see and feel it, he's able to say, and I feel like this is great for my devotion I did this morning about feeling blue, which essentially we associate with feeling blue. It can be anxiety, depression, anger, sadness. Feeling blue. This miracle right here should be enough for you to see that he doesn't want us to hurt. He doesn't want us to be sad. He doesn't want us to feel like we're hopeless.
It says, don't cry.
Exactly. And bring it to you guys. If you've been through a loss, I am sure God right now is trying to reach you and say, don't cry, my child. I love you. He doesn't want us to hurt. There's, what's that verse now? I can't remember the exact one, but plans to prosper you, to bring you hope in a future. I cannot remember the verse exactly. I will find it for you guys. If you follow his, losing my train of thought. If you follow his Facebook page, which I'll have him post it in his TikTok for you guys.
Yes, follow my Facebook page.
I will have him post that Bible verse, and in fact, we'll probably make that into a little decal like this, because everyone needs to be reminded once in a while that we all have hope in God. And I feel like this miracle here is a huge cry for hope. Do not ever give up on it.
Yeah.
Because the people didn't be like, how did you do this? What's wrong with you? Are you okay?
They knew exactly.
Exactly. They knew exactly who he was. And they said, a great prophet has appeared among us. God has come to help his people.
And then if you go back again, like if you think about it, so this woman, right, lost her son. The only son of his mother. And she was a widow. So she didn't have anyone.
No, it was just her and her son. So you have to imagine how grateful she was.
So when she lost her son, she was lonely. She was in this deep, deep, dark depression. And Jesus walked up to her and said, don't cry. And then he went and he touched the bier they were carrying him on. And the bearer stood still. And he said, young man, I say to you, get up. And the dead man sat up and began to talk. He started talking.
I'm not going to lie. I'd honestly be a little terrified, because obviously in today's world, when someone's gone, they're gone. There ain't no coming back. There ain't no talking. So I can't say I would be like, woohoo! I'd probably be like, what just happened? I wouldn't be able to process it. But they knew who he was. So that's probably why they're like, we know this is a blessing. So the miracle of getting her son back. I mean, we've never lost a child, so I can't say we relate to that, but we've had losses.
Yeah.
And
it's to the point where we could relate this miracle to the losses we've had. And for those of you who have lost somebody, take comfort in this verse, knowing that God's not just taking people away from you to be, haha, I took this person away from you, or not giving you answers.
To be spiteful, yeah.
That person has served their purpose.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose they had, that God had for them, they have served that purpose. I'm not going to say this for every situation, because some situations it's hard to follow that through with. So my heart goes out to you guys, but God does love you, and take this miracle as a way of leaning onto that. I do love how most of these are chronological in the New Testament, starting from the book of Matthew, and mostly start focusing.
Started from John, yeah, then went all
Matthew.
the way.
That's the first book of the New Testament.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
If you guys went to Cubby's in Awana, you'll know what I mean.
But this one, like, I feel like I talk about this one a lot, because this is a huge test of faith.
Mm-hmm.
This is a huge test of another miracle. And, but this is Matthew 8:23 through 27. Then he got into the boat, and his disciples followed him. Suddenly a furious storm came upon the lake, so that the waves swept over the boat. But Jesus was sleeping, because he was relaxed. He's like, I'm Jesus. Like,
I mean, I give him kudos for being able to stay asleep in those kind of rocky conditions
yeah,
without
so
feeling uncomfortable.
the boat was just weighing back and forth, and he was like, I could just tell it to stop, and it's going to stop.
Oh, I don't think that would stop me. I feel like the motion would stop me, so he must have been a heavy sleeper, to be honest.
He must have been.
But the faith that one has,
yeah,
in that, to say, that I don't care what's going on around me. If I want to nap, I'm going to nap.
Because yeah.
Well, with Jesus, no.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer, obviously. But
the Son of God, he's like, I'm just going to sleep it off.
Yeah. Well, and he didn't have the emotions that you and I have, because he was a perfect being.
Exactly.
In an imperfect body.
The disciples went and woke him, saying, Lord, save us, we're going to drown. And he replied, you of little faith, why are you so afraid? Then he got up and he rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. The men were amazed and asked, what kind of man is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him. Mm-hmm. Did they not know that?
So even he said, you of little faith.
Yeah.
So they must have had faith, but not a significant amount. They must have had a very little bit of faith just to know who he was. But there must have been a little bit of doubt.
This must have been around the time that they
Well, this is the book of Matthew, so this is an earlier on one. And for those of you who don't know, the book of Matthew is the first book of the New Testament. Mark was the next one where we discovered...
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Yeah.
Yeah, the way I remember is a fun way, but like I was saying, Mark is where we discovered some of the other miracles, like the turning water into wine, the fishermen.
John was the water in the wine, but yes, yeah, it was John.
I lost track. I'm so sorry. But where we find the other miracles, Mark especially is where they had Lazarus, right?
I believe so, yeah.
But it's kind of going in chronological order within the first 5 books of the New Testament. Each one is written by a different disciple from their viewpoint of what they saw and what they were experiencing, what was happening. Excuse me. So when he said, you of little faith, why are you so afraid? I kind of wonder the same. I mean, all you need is just a little bit of faith.
Yeah, but at that time, did they think that he was just a prophet then?
I feel like
because they said right here, they said Lord, so they knew he was Lord. So they said, Lord, save us. We're going to drown. But then at the end it says, what kind of man is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him. Well, so it might have been different people then.
It said it was the crew, the disciples. So it looks like his disciples were kind of doubting him at this point.
Wow.
So this was early on in the recording of his miracles, where they're like, okay, what is going on? Why is this happening? And he goes and says, storm, back off, go away, essentially.
And it did.
And then when it happens, these people, instead of saying, well, this is the true Son of God, he can even control this, they instead
doubted him even more.
What is this and who is this that he can do this?
They doubted him even more. They questioned him. Like, who is this man to make the wind and waves obey him.
Well, I feel like this ties back into the one earlier on where they're like, what? When it comes to the water and the wine. So they turned water into wine, and the disciples did.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean their faith was fully there. Instead, they didn't even recognize that the best wine was gone. Instead, they thought, oh, you're bringing out the best of the best of the best.
And this was like the best wine they
Exactly.
ever tasted in their lives.
And they're like, oh, okay, no big deal. So I feel like this is secondary to that, where they're like, what is going on here? We thought you were just a teacher of the Lord, not part of who the Lord is. But as we unveil or unravel later on, this is more of just more craziness that people are, how it shows that we as people, I mean, do not, and I mean, we don't, we always have to question things in front of us. We can't just take a simple miracle.
Yeah.
Like the water and the wine, the fish coming to the boats to the point where the boats can't handle it. Jesus stopping the storm.
Here we go. Here's a good one right here. And this is going back down to Matthew 15:32 through 39.
Earlier on one again.
And this is another one where he fed people, where he served.
Well, the first one he fed, but he also made an example of saying, now you know how to fish. Take that and fish for those who need you most.
Yeah, so it's crazy though, because like we do this. Like this is what, what God has called us to do. Is to serve and to feed and to take care of. And that's our ministry. And that's, it was prophesied over my life when I was 10 or 11 years old. And now that I'm 36, it's finally coming into play. 35, 36, around that age range, is finally starting to happen. And I couldn't have done it with a better person than you. Like, it's cheesy. So no, it's true though. Like, we're different, but we're not different at the same time.
We are enough different that we can be entertaining to each other. But honestly, if you'd have told me about 30 years ago, 15 years ago either, that hey, you're going to be part of a ministry and you're going to be reaching out to people on social media in a way you never expected, I honestly probably would have been like, okay, whatever you say, and just pretend that I didn't hear them and go back to reading my books or working on my art projects.
Well, back then, that was like what?
Social media was just taking off.
Yeah, it was like MySpace is what it was back then.
Not that old, how old are you?
MySpace? I was around MySpace first got off.
When I really got, I was on MySpace too, I'm not gonna lie. But back when I really got into social media, it was Facebook, and I was part of the first people on Facebook.
I'm old, I guess.
I still had MySpace. I didn't use Facebook until MySpace got phased out. But like I said, if you'd have told me back then, 15 years ago or 20 years ago, I more than likely would not have taken you seriously. I wasn't that type of person. I'm still not very much like that. I'm doing better. I'm kind of coming out of my shell a little bit, becoming crafty, injuring myself while being crafty.
But no, this is crazy though, because Jesus fed at least, they said, 4,000 people.
Certain versions
in
will say up to 5,000.
Matthew 15:32 through 39. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away hungry, or they may collapse on the way. His disciples answered, where can we get enough bread in this remote place to feed such a crowd? How many loaves do you have? Jesus asked. 7, they replied, and a few small fish. He told the crowd to sit down on the ground. Then he took the 7 loaves and the fish, and when he had given thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples. They in turn to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. Afterwards, the disciples picked up 7 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate was 4,000 men, besides women and children. After Jesus had sent the crowd away, he got into the boat and went to the vicinity of Magadan. Magadan.
There's no O.
Either way,
I like that.
what a powerful story in the Bible. To where he's gonna go and say, I don't want these people to starve. Bless you.
Thank you.
These people are hungry. These people are probably thirsty. I'm sure they gave them water to drink too. And he said, where can we get enough? They said, where can we get enough bread in this remote place to feed such a crowd? And Jesus is like, well, how many loaves do you have? And they said 7. And then he turned 7 into feeding 4,000.
Yep, 7 small loaves, 7 loaves of bread,
Mm-hmm.
which means they got at least a couple of loaves per family at least, and then a few small fish. And back then, fish was their main source of protein, so they had to rely on that. And how many a few is, it depends on the person. I honestly say a few is like 4 or 5. That's just me. So you can see those few small amount of fish, a small amount of bread, it multiplied by the blessing of God to say, let me feed. So he took those, and when they were done, the baskets were given back. By the time they went to go give the fish up, the bread was miraculously refilled, as if nothing was gone. And they were breaking it up too for people to eat, and they still had leftovers. They had enough to fill everybody.
I love the feeling of serving people. I love the feeling of giving people stuff to eat and feeding them and giving them hope. That's where our whole thing starts at, is hope. And these people are hungry, they're starving, they're thirsty. Mm-hmm. But you know what they're hungry and thirsty for more than food?
They're physically hungry and thirsty, but they're also spiritually hungry.
They're spiritually hungry.
Mind you, some of these people that we feed, we don't care what your background is. You know, when we've done these reaches before, where we've had just a picnic, when people came together, what we had was 15 pizzas turned into a whole buffet of salad, pastas. We had homemade bakery bread from a bakery nearby. Man. We had desserts. We had all kinds of things. And we didn't care if you were rich, just wanted to hang out, have a slice of pizza. If you were, a struggling mom that just, hey, I need some food. Hey, let's get your kids some food. Let's get you some food. Let's get you some water. You need a care package. We did that as well. It wasn't just, oh, you're not poor, we don't want anything to do with you. We didn't do it for that. We did it because, hey, we're hurting. And in our community over here, I don't know where you guys are at, but if you're in this community out here in Sheboygan, we have a lot of hurting people. And this place used to be the number one place to raise a family.
Yeah.
Now, given that was 30 some years ago, it has changed a lot from that. And we want to bring back a sense of community where people can hang out together and not care if you're, in Kohler, super rich, and over here that's a rich area, or if you're in a really bad side of town. Who cares where you're from? We're all in this life. We're all here to help each other, and we want to bring back that little spark of hope that people need and give them that mustard seed again. Plant that seed.
And in a way, though, Jesus kind of did that to us too. We started off with 10 free pizzas is all we had from Theo's. And then all of a sudden it went to 25 pizzas. So Jesus kind of multiplied it for us for serving people. Went from 10 to 25. Yeah. That was our first outreach. We had 25 pizzas and we got rid of all of them.
Well, let's mention too though that we only had planned on, we wanted, the first time we did it, we wanted to purchase the pizzas.
Yeah. And
we were ready to pay whatever it was over the place we went to is $7 or $8 for a large pizza, one topping. And it turned into, well, if you guys want to do this for the community, we're going to comp it and it's going to be a donation.
Yeah.
Next thing we know, someone else wants to help, another person wants to help, and then this is that same outreach where it turned into a whole buffet. Someone else wanted to purchase another 10 pizzas.
Yeah.
Well, the 15 that we originally purchased was donated, and then when Theo's, the place we went through, which is amazing pizza, by the way, heard this, they're like, you know what? All of them are donated. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about paying. We want to help you guys feed those people.
All 25.
All 20. Pizzas. So they donated 25 large topping pizzas.
That's
a lot of money lost on them, especially now that those pizzas are almost $10 a pop.
Yeah.
But the thing is they didn't care. They wanted to help us reach a community. Now they may not have had the same mission that we have with it, but the beautiful thing about it was they saw us taking the money out of our own pocket to buy an unknown amount of pizza to feed whoever was hungry. And at that time, it was when it was still a little chilly, but getting warm, but chilly out yet. And people, especially the homeless population out here, it's getting, unfortunately, pretty bad again. We want to just bring them some hope. Say, hey, we see you guys. You're not left in the dark. We want to shine a little light on you, let you know that you are loved, even if your situation may make you think you're not. But it gives us that chance to reach out.
God provides.
Yep. Isaiah 58:11, where God guides, He provides.
That is literally on our wall right now in our living room, where God guides, He provides, because where He wants you to go to, He will provide a way for you to get there.
You just have to trust Him, take that first step. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, that is sometimes the hardest thing you will do, is to take that step of faith, because it is 100% faith.
Yeah.
But if you say, God, this is where you want me to go, all right, I'm getting rid of the stuff I need to get rid of, doing what I got to do to get there. A friend of ours, she is our pastor. She's a wonderful woman. She's done the same thing. And she's an example that I look up to for my faith in God. And if you have to do something as simple as say, I don't know what to do, seek out a pastor that you trust, or a friend that is in the Word with you, and see what you can do. If you're not sure still, pray on it. God will always provide you an answer. Not always in the way you expect. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it's in the weirdest way possible. Like we said the very first time I joined on the podcast with my husband is when we got this house. Best place ever. With, of course, you're going live again. With, of course, having that issue of the mice just suddenly popping up. That's not a great idea, but it's teaching us something too. Honestly, I'd rather deal with bed bugs again, because I can handle that with a washer or dryer. But we have what we have, and we're grateful for it. A little problem here and there is just another way for the enemy to sneak in and say, well, what about this? Oh, don't forget about this little thing here. Don't forget about that little problem here. It's distraction. Gross distraction it may be. But I know that's a weird way to put it.
But God provided this place. He provided things for us to do. He provided a podcast for us to do. God brings you, even though we have our distractions and our impatience and everything, because we're humans, God is still going to provide a way, any way possible, to glorify Him. And that's what we're called to do, is to glorify Jesus and to exalt His name to everyone. Oh, I got hiccups, guys.
That's okay.
So we're going to end this soon.
Oh, wow. It's already almost 10 too.
But I cannot end it without one of the greatest miracles ever by Jesus Christ. And that is Mark 8. This is what we're going to end it on, is Mark 8, 22 through 26.
So if you guys want to open up whatever Bible you want and follow along.
This is something that it happens today. This is miracles happen every day. There's pastors and there's men and women of God that perform miracles like this all the time. Do people believe it? Not really. A lot of people are scared by it. A lot of people think it's fake. But this right here, Jesus opened the eyes of a blind man. They came to Bethesda. And some people... No, Bethesda is what it actually is. Bethsaida. Sorry. They came to
Bethsaida.
They came to Bethsaida.
There you go.
And some people brought a blind man and begged Jesus to touch him. He took the blind man by the hand and led him outside the village. When he spit on the man's eyes and put his hands on him, Jesus asked, "Do you see anything?" He looked up and said, "I see people. They look like trees walking around." Once more, Jesus put his hands on the man's eyes. Then his eyes were opened. His sight was restored, and he saw everything clearly. Jesus sent him home, saying, "Don't even go into that village."
Now I'm curious. I want to read the rest of that verse and find out why, because I'm sure it's got more to it. Nice.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll get it for you.
That's very interesting. Because he did not... Maybe it's because they were bringing that blind man over as like a mockery.
I think it's more out of doubt.
Maybe they were questioning Jesus.
Sounds like they were doubtful, because they begged him in hopes that they would heal him.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of baffles me a little bit is when he asks if he sees anything, and the man answered, "I see people, and they look like trees walking around."
Because his eyesight was getting adjusted.
It kind of baffles me a little bit that people couldn't say, wait, he was completely blind and now he's seeing shapes.
Yeah. And then he did it one more time, and his eyes were wide open.
27 was...
Mark 8.
Yep, 8:27, which is the next one. And this version is a KJV, so it's slightly different than what my husband read. It says, "And Jesus went out and his disciples into the towns of..."
Gethsemane.
Nope, that's Sarah.
Oh.
Philippi. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong. I'm not good at this. And by the way, he asked his disciples, saying unto them, Whom do men say that I am? And they answered, John the Baptist, but some say Elias, and others one of the prophets.
So what does KJV say in that one, in that version?
Let's see, 22, 26?
Yeah. Read that one.
So starting from the beginning where we were before, it says, And he cometh to Bethsaida, and they bring a blind man unto him, and besought him to touch him. He took the blind man by the hand, and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes, and put his hands upon him, he asked him if he saw aught. Sorry, these words are very small, and I can't read.
Yeah.
No, if he saw aught.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked up and said, I see men as trees walking. After that he put his hands again upon his eyes, and made him look up, and he was restored, and saw every man clearly. And he sent him away into his house, saying, Neither go into the town, nor tell it to any in the town. So Jesus went in the town first with his disciples to find out if his disciples knew what they call him. And some people were, as they said, that some call him John the Baptist, some say Elias, and others say one of the prophets. So people knew of his doings.
Yeah.
But not many people were aware of who he was.
He was, yeah. Then he said, don't even go into the village.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't go back to where you were from.
Uh-huh.
Maybe because they...
Now, if you guys want to look it up again, that's in Mark.
It's a very interesting one. It really is, because, it's kind of like Jesus saying, just don't even go back in there again.
He's pretty much telling him, don't go in there. These people don't know who I am, and they're doubting.
Yeah. It's like they were questioning Jesus and his miracles.
So it looks like he went in there. I'm just going to summarize it. But he went in there, and he was speaking openly to Peter, because Peter was suffering with something. But I'm trying to read it quickly so I don't just take your guys' time too much. You want me to read it
We got
from
about 5 more minutes.
But there's a point here in verse 33 of chapter 8 in the book of Mark. It says, But when he had turned about and looked on his disciples, he rebuked Peter, saying, Get thee behind me, Satan, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but the things that be of men. So it sounds like he didn't want the man to go into the city again, because there was a demon there, and Jesus knew it. And Satan was trying to get people behind him.
He was trying to get to that man,
He was trying to get to something that he was not supposed to have.
Yeah. Wow.
So I highly recommend, if you guys have a Bible on hand or even the Bible app, go to Mark chapter 8.
22 through 26.
Start at 22, or if you want to start from the beginning of chapter 8, go for it.
Yeah.
And just read it and kind of discover it yourself.
Yeah.
Because, to be honest, there's a lot in here. If you have a red letter edition like this one, I highly recommend it. Mark is in the New Testament.
Here's a really good one right here. It's a very long one, though.
We can cover that next time, too.
We can. Actually, yeah, because I think that is going to be it for our podcast, I believe.
Yeah. But yeah, if you guys want to, like I said, it's in the book of Mark. It's in the New Testament. If you don't know where the New Testament is, in the back, it's after the book of Malachi, which is the last book of the Old Testament. Matthew is the first book. So if you guys want to go ahead, if you can't remember
Sing the song. I know you want to do it.
I was just say, if you can't remember the orders, always remember Malachi then Matthew. But he wants me to sing the song. It'd be kind of fun.
Just do it. I
I
know you
don't
want
remember
to.
the whole song, but it's fun. If you guys went to Cubbies, you know it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Acts, and the letter to the Romans. But read. I highly recommend it. That was actually a good read, and I kind of want to go read it myself too when I get done with this, because you may study it together with us. We're working with it on you guys and giving you our perspective, and want to hear from you guys too. So, Uncle Donald's watching your live.
He was, yeah.
Oh, bummer.
I don't know if he is anymore, but yeah.
But yeah, I highly recommend it. It was a good read, and there's a lot of information in there about what we just talked about with the blind man, and it's very worth going through again.
All right, so remember, guys, next week is Good Friday.
What's that?
Good Friday.
I meant like what's going on.
So we're going to do a Thursday night podcast, a Friday night podcast, and then we're going to do a Sunday night podcast on Easter.
So we're going to put another podcast episode in there for you guys.
So we're going to be doing three podcasts next week. That is going to be the end of our series after that. And then we're going to go into, we're going to finish it off though the month of April with the discussion of the rapture and the end times and Jesus coming back. So it's going to pretty much capitalize everything that's been going on the whole series with the ending of Revelations and rapture and the return of Jesus Christ. But that was a good podcast.
I think so.
A lot of good parts in the Bible that
this chair is not that.
A lot of good stories of miracles that Jesus performed, and I'm excited to look back through here and upload it to YouTube and really get the message out about how powerful that Jesus Christ really is, and how he was performing miracles when he was on earth, and he still is doing it to this day. And people just got to believe. So we're going to pray. And then we're going to end the live. And we're going to go to bed. And
we have a long day tomorrow, but we want to wish you guys
a lot to do.
An amazing weekend ahead. So if y'all need prayer, let us know. Shoot my husband a message, or if you're on my live, Crochet Mama, for you guys that want to join, whatever. Message us with a prayer request or comment. We'll be happy to pray for you guys.
Thank you for the gifts. I appreciate that a lot. All right, we're going to pray, guys, and then we're going to end the lives. Here we go. All right. Dear Father God, thank you once again for bringing us to these platforms to spread the gospel and to be the fisher of men that you want us to be, and to disciple the people and to learn as we go and to study together. As not just me and Jesselyn, but as the whole entire world watches us, because social media is all over the place worldwide. God, thank you so much for just bringing us together and to be able to worship and honor you and praise you and talk about the wonderful miracles that you have performed while you were on earth physically, that you were healing the blind and getting demons out of people and turning water into wine, and just the simple things to all the way to the things that are like just super powerful and like the raising the dead son. And God, just thank you so much for just everything that you've done for us miracle wise. You have performed so many miracles and blessings for me and my family, God. So thank you so much. And I know that sometimes we can be stubborn and sometimes that we can be a bit hard-headed, but God, I know that you are always the one that's going to be leading us and guiding us to where you want us to go, God. And God, I pray for everybody watching this that they have a good rest of the week, God. I pray that they are blessed and that they learn something from this, and they're able to go out and they're able to go spread the gospel too through the message that you have shared through us today, God. And God, I pray that everyone's just has a great week, a great weekend. God, I pray that you open the eyes of the people that might have came through here and laughed at us, and let them know that you are Jesus, that you are God, that you are in charge of everything and everyone, God. And God, I pray for the people that see us on Facebook, our family, our friends, our family and friends on TikTok, that you, if they don't believe in Jesus and they see this, that they open their eyes and start believing in you today, God, because you are the way, the truth, and the life, and nobody comes to God except for you, Jesus Christ. And we thank you so much for the sacrifice that you gave us on that cross. And we love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, guys. That was a good podcast. See you later, Facebook.
I'm gonna hop off my live, guys. Thanks. I appreciate all the likes and the joining. Hopefully we'll see you guys on Sunday.
Oh yeah, Sunday is Pastor Paul. Excited for it, guys. We're gonna be live again at Lighthouse Church.
I guess someone decided to follow. That's awesome.
Nice.
I saw a comment.
Lighthouse Church. We're gonna be live at 1:30, 2-ish. 2
Service
p.m.
starts at 1:30, but the sermon is usually
Around
and
2,
unfortunately, sometimes we
2:15.
start a little late.
Yeah.
But with Pastor Paul, he's on the ball. He does not like being late, so we will probably be starting the sermon itself by about 2:30, depending how long worship goes.
And I would try to get the Wi-Fi password too, so we can have good Wi-Fi on there when we go live for his sermon. This is actually his last sermon at our church, unfortunately.
He's not being banned or nothing. In case you
No.
have a weird question, he's leaving for himself to grow himself to a different church. We are a very small church, unfortunately, but with the Holy Spirit, we are going to grow.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to join us on his TikTok, I will try to go live on mine as well. So that's Crochet Mama. He does follow me on all of his
Crochet
accounts.
Mama 93.
Well, there's a picture of me and my husband and I think our daughter or our corgi, one of the two.
That's your picture.
Oh, I forgot I haven't changed it. So it's a picture of me and my daughter. You'll see a picture of me with the glasses on there. So if you want to join on mine, if you can't find his live, we'll let you guys know either way. We'll have an invite. And I'll probably have him.
Have a good night, Tristan.
So.
Tristan, thank you so much for all the gifts too.
Have a blessed
Crazy,
night.
man.
We'll
All
hopefully
right.
see you guys on Sunday. So
Yeah.
let you go.
God bless you guys. I'm out of here. I got a lot of editing to do.
And I got
Peace.
stuff to do.